Okay, we're trying out some new things with the ring light, so let's hope it goes well. I changed the tint apparatus. So professional. In this video, I explain why you should label your relationships, what those 7 labels are, and how to determine which label applies to your relationship. Why should you label your romantic relationships? Because labels help us know what to expect. You have a label for every relationship in your life, so why not for romantic entanglements, situations, relationships? You know who your parents are, who your friends are, who a stranger is to you, your coworkers, an employee at the store. Like, these are all various relationships, and you have a label for all of them, which helps you to know what to expect from a stranger versus a very close friend, versus your mother, versus a distant cousin. So with romantic relationships, it is important to label them. When we don't, it leaves a lot of room for misunderstanding and problems. I will now share the 7 relationship categories that I have determined, and they are as follows. First is a stranger. That is your relationship with the billions of people on this earth, or most of the billions of people on this earth are strangers to you. So with a stranger relationship, you don't expect much. That person does not have any obligations to you beyond those of basic human decency, and the same for you to them. So when you label a relationship that of strangers, it's just kind of be generally cordial and respectful and keep it moving. Next is acquaintances. This is someone who you've met at least once, and there's some sort of distant relationship. So maybe a friend of a friend or a coworker who you're not really close to. So with acquaintances, the general understanding is being cordial, though you will likely have more interaction and engagement with an acquaintance than you would a stranger. So you may find yourself in social situations with this person and finding yourself needing to engage with them. But for the most part, there's not any significant obligations to one another unless you two choose to agree to those obligations. Next, we have platonic friends. So these are people who you do not have a sexual relationship with or sexual chemistry with, no romantic relationship, but they're your friends, the people who you generally refer to as friends. So these can be more distant platonic friendships, or they can be very close platonic friendships. So depending on the closeness of the relationship, you would have certain expectations. You would expect more from someone who's really close and entwined in your life, as opposed to someone who isn't particularly close. But also, with all the friendships you have a different relationship with each person, and the ways that you spend time with those different people may vary. You may have the friends who you go out and do a lot of things with. You may have the friends who you share a lot of private, personal things with. You may have the friends where you kind of do more of the supporting and helping them through than they do, and trying to find what that balance is. But with platonic friendships, the key factor is that there is no romantic or sexual chemistry or involvement. Next, you have friends with benefits. So friends with benefits means that there is some sort of intimacy, both emotionally, sexually, there's sexual engagement likely involved, but also it's not a commitment of a relationship or anything like that. And oftentimes with friends with benefits, it's also not necessarily a dating relationship in which you're going out and dating. That can absolutely be involved in a friends with relationship benefits, but it's not, a requirement for it to be friends with benefits. Friends with benefits is you take the platonic friend and you mix it with sex. There you have it. So friends with benefits tends to be, though, this ongoing sexual relationship, so as opposed to like a one-night stand. Next, we have casual dating, which I think can easily be confused with friends with benefits. Casual dating involves going out on dates and getting to know one another with the intention of potentially exclusively dating. So casual dating could involve sexual interactions. It could not involve sexual interactions if one or both people do not want to engage in that at the casual stage. But the idea is that they are vetting one another for a potential relationship. So that is the difference between casual dating and friends with benefits, because with friends with benefits, there's not this requirement necessarily of vetting one another for a future or potential relationship. The relationship is that of the emotional and likely sexual or physical relationship that those two people have, where they can absolutely relate as friends and enjoy one another's company and engage in great conversation as friends with benefits. But there's not this plan or this idea to vet for a future committed relationship. After casual dating, we have exclusively dating. So an exclusive dating relationship or exclusive romantic partners. This is where you are going out and dating just this one person. So ideally, that moves from maybe casually dating a few people to then exclusively dating one person, continuing to go out on dates, continuing to vet one another, continuing to determine if you are a good fit for one another's futures. But it is still a stage before a committed relationship. So with exclusively dating, you have intentions of going towards a committed relationship, but you're vetting one another to determine if that is a good idea. Lastly, you have committed relationship. This can be through marriage. This can be through two people agreeing that they're in a commitment. This is where sometimes there's, moving in together or having kids or intertwining your financial situations. But the idea here is that upon the committed relationship status, you have decided to build some sort of future together, some sort of life together, whatever you want that committed relationship to look like. It can be monogamous, it can be non-monogamous. The idea though is that we are joining our lives together in some way and that we are committing to be with one another in this process. So that is different than exclusively dating someone where you are still very much vetting to see if you want to commit to them. So how do you determine the label for your current relationship? First, you want to start with, what do you want the relationship to be? Are you wanting to be in a friends with benefits relationship with this person? Are you wanting to be in an exclusive dating relationship with this person? What is it that you want? Because then you take that desire or your desired relationship category and you look at the definition or the description of that category and assess how much your current relationship is standing up to that. So for instance, if you want a committed relationship with someone and you look at what is involved in a committed relationship, such as decisions to intertwine your lives together more, moving in or having kids or finances, making future plans with one another and actually acting on those plans, then you're asking yourself, are these sort of things happening in this relationship with this person? Or is it looking like something different? Is it looking more like we are casually dating? We go out on dates and they are seeing other people, or I'm seeing other people, or we have an understanding that it's okay to see other people, because that would be more of a casual dating relationship, unless you have decided that you guys are in a non-monogamous relationship. But again, there's still that commitment piece. You can be in a committed non-monogamous relationship. And so if there has not been that conversation, then you're looking at, this, I may want it to be a committed relationship, but actually it's more of a casual relationship. And the key piece to determining the label for your relationship is to have a conversation, which I cannot stress enough and which people do not do enough. People are afraid to label their relationships, to have the conversations, to have the what are we conversation and all of that. And I actually don't suggest approaching the conversation from the question of what are we. I suggest approaching the conversation from the place of what you want you guys to be, so that you can present that to the person and they can respond accordingly. And so I'm not saying that you do this because the way you want the relationship should be is the way that it has to be, but it's just a very clear upfront way to also empower yourself around what you're looking for in a relationship. What this brings up, though, is that people are sometimes faced with the reality that what they want is different than what the other person wants. And then you have choices to make. And a lot of people don't want to make those choices. That's unfortunate because of course it is hard to recognize that someone wants something different than you, and then to maybe have to make a choice to not be involved anymore. But by all means, it sets you up for a greater likelihood of finding the relationship that you want, because then you won't be sitting around tolerating a relationship that is not really what you want it to be, and therefore closing yourself off to other potential relationships. So you can approach the conversation from a perspective of, this is what's been going on thus far for this long. We've been, dating. Here are the things that I'm looking for my future, and I'm interested in having that with you or exploring that with you, and I am curious and want to understand what your perspective is or what you're thinking or how you've been feeling about things. I'm going to do a whole video on having the exclusivity conversation, so there'll be more details in a future video. But ultimately, you determining what your relationship category is or your relationship label is about looking at each of those relationship categories that I mentioned and really asking yourself, how does this current relationship with this person stack up to these descriptions? And then having an honest conversation with them about where you want things to be and asking them what they would like. I do have a dating conversation texting template available for free. So if you sign up for my email list, the link is in the video description, you can get that. And it gives you templates for how to communicate around dating situations, such as introductions with people, cancellations, a follow-up after a date, or letting them know that you're no longer interested. So definitely check that out. Let's just talk about determining which of the romantic categories you may be in. So this is everything from friends with benefits to committed relationship. You may be in a friends with benefits relationship if you have an ongoing sexual relationship with someone that does not involve commitment, that does not involve exclusivity, that does not involve you two deciding to kind of join forces and move forward with a future together in any sort of life-building way, where you're combining resources, money, time, energy, reproductive resources, any of those sort of things. So you may totally have a friendship with the person and you guys have a good time together, have good conversation on an ongoing basis, but there's no agreement to commitment or exclusivity, then you may be in a friends with benefits relationship. You are likely in a casual dating relationship or casual dating partners if you are going on dates with someone and they are going on dates with you and other people as well, and you are going on dates with other people as well. Or even if neither of you are actively going on dates with other people, it is agreed upon that you can go on dates with other people. And so this is where you are just trying to get to know someone by going out with them, talking with them, asking them questions, that sort of thing. There's not an agreement of exclusivity or of commitment in moving your lives forward together with any sort of significant investment of resources. You may be in an exclusive dating relationship or exclusive dating partners once there has been a conversation and therefore an agreement that you are only dating one another. So you're going on dates with one another, focusing on dating one another, but yet there hasn't necessarily been an agreement of commitment and of joining your resources together to form a life together. You guys are still figuring it out and determining if that is something that either of you wants to do, but you're doing it in a more focused way than you would be when you are casually dating someone, because you are only dating one another. And you are in a committed relationship upon there being a conversation and therefore an agreement that you are committing to one another to move forward together in your future. Those commitments can look like all sorts of things. You can move in together, you can get married, you can get engaged, you can have joint savings accounts, maybe you're adding one another's names to things, getting a lease, having kids, all of these things that intertwine our lives more and more. But conversation and agreements are a key factor here, really in any of these relationship categories. But in this case, you are having conversations about, we are committing to one another, Are we monogamous or non-monogamous? What are our future plans and desires for our lives as individuals and as a unit? Those were the 7 relationship categories and how to determine which of the romantic categories your relationship is currently in. See you soon.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to click the link to join my email list. See you soon.